G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do.
Hi folks, welcome to another edition of Color in Your Life. I'm Alan James, the East Coast America host. Today's episode is dedicated to the founder and creator of Color in Your Life, Graham Stevenson. So sit back and enjoy while we watch another fine artist in your backyard put some color in your life. Okay, so here we are folks in Sarasota, Florida, sunny Sarasota, Florida, and the studio of a great landscape artist, Linda Richichi. Hi, Linda. How you doing?
Great. So glad to have you here today.
Can you tell I'm from New York? Yeah. I'm glad to be here. This is great. A nice studio. It's very spacious, high ceilings, good lighting. And tell me a little bit about yourself. You are a landscape artist.
Yes.
But you weren't always a landscape artist.
That's correct.
Tell me what was going on before that.
I came out of the womb with a paintbrush in my hand to do portraits.
Okay.
And I loved doing portraits. I loved looking deep into the soul and getting a likeness. It came very easily to me. But then I also did landscapes that were metaphorical, and so they gave messages, and it was like my muse was talking to me.
Okay.
And there was one painting where it was a landscape with railroad tracks. I had my boyfriend's head on one side, my head on the other, looked at each other. I titled it "So Close But Yet So Far," and realized, oh, he's not the one. Railroad tracks never meet.
Okay,
and,
all right.
And I had many paintings like that did that, but when I found out other people didn't talk with their muse like this so much, I hid it and I just stayed with traditional portraits.
Wow, and that's how you ended up doing the landscape. Now also, before you were doing this professionally, you were a makeup artist.
I was, yes.
Okay.
I didn't have much exposure to art. My first exposure was at the Met, the second exposure was at the Louvre, so when I thought about being an artist, which is what I wanted to do, I went for something a little safer, but it ended up being good.
So you've been in the Sarasota area for
7 years now.
7 years now. So you made quite a name for yourself here in this town.
Yes.
It's got quite a history of itself, Sarasota. Yeah. With the arts, it's really great around here. You have you're a member of a couple of different associations, and what is it, the Art
Center Sarasota.
Okay, Art Center Sarasota, and what else? Are you in any other ones?
Well, I'm in a local gallery here that represents me exclusively, but usually some of the organizations I'm in are national organizations.
They are?
They are the Pastel Society of America.
Okay.
And Oil Painters of America, and Southeastern Pastel Society, and American Impressionist Society, and I hope I'm not leaving any out.
Yeah. Well, over the course of time, you've won a lot of awards.
Yes.
So, and a lot through those societies and other societies, and all the way up into Edgerton.
Martha's Vineyard. Martha's
Vineyard, right, where James Taylor lives. Okay. So speaking of all the awards you've won, 1 million of them, this one right behind us, let's talk about this one.
This is the study for Bayshore Dawn, which was an award winner in the Plein Air Salon, which is run by Plein Air magazine, and it got Best Landscape in 2021, one of their 12. They had one for every month.
That is fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Wow, that must have been a great boost for your career.
Absolutely, yes,
yeah.
yes.
Just like the show is going to be a great boost for your career.
That's right.
All right.
And I don't know, the painting that we're going to do in the show is from this study.
Right here. Okay, and the name of this painting?
The name of this painting is City Morning Light.
City Morning Light. You had to look, because you had a couple of names. I do that all the time. I have like too many names for my paintings.
Yes.
So this is City Morning Light, and this is a pastel.
This is a pastel.
Some of these are oil. These are all oil back here. So those two are your main ones. Is it pastel more than oil, or?
I go back and forth, and they both help each other. But I think when I work larger, it's oil.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So now you paint sometimes more than one painting at a time. How does that work? You do like 2, 3?
When I'm working in the studio, I'll set up a few at the same time so that if I just kind of get to a slump in one, just move to the next one and then come back with a fresh eye, which then helps me not overwork it and keep it really fresh.
I see, I see. So I'm looking forward to get started. And we're going to do this like in 3 stages, I understand. So you're going to show me, first you're going to just lay down the background, and then what's the steps after that?
Then I'm going to develop the blocking in, the massing of each of the layers from foreground, middle ground, background.
Right.
And then I'm going to develop each area and mass the sky and get that feeling of the light. And I'm even going to go a little bit brighter on the light, more towards sunrise.
Oh, that's great. So even brighter than what we have here, maybe, huh?
Yes, because this light is already up here, so
I
it's
see.
now just starting to fade the colors, where when it was lower, it had richer colors in it. And I'm finding that my work right now is all about the color and luminosity.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to see this process, and I know our viewers can't wait either. So what do you say we get started on this?
Sounds wonderful. Thank
Let's
you
go.
for, let's go. And now I'm just going to tone the canvas, because I got a feel for what I want to do here. And toning the canvas, and this is my composition. This is after I've done a little study in black and white, and after I've done a color study. And if that's a little too wet, I'm using Gamsol with Richichi oil paints.
Okay.
And I'm just getting it so that it's a little bit drier. Then I'm going to start drawing. This is the area that I take the longest in, is getting this initial setup, this initial drawing, constantly checking to make sure everything is right. And then I block in, which once the block in is done, I know that the painting will proceed much faster.
So this is just getting you set up for the preliminaries, just to get your sketches out.
Right, and so I'm thinking foreground, middle ground, background, and I don't start immediately blocking in what I call the dragon. The dragon is the dark areas, and I'll show you the dragon in a minute. And now I can start blocking in. Now I wanted to go a little more vibrant today, because I'm going to go more red-violet, and so I think I like that. So my block-in is usually a little more bluer, but for today, I'm going to change that up a little. So I like to do what's called the dragon. The dragon is the shadows, and I relate my paintings to life, to my life, and it's not fun to look at the shadows in our life. So in the beginning, I used to skip this part and just jump to the good stuff. Then I learned that the more time you spend in the shadows and getting those right, the better the painting comes in the long run. So blocking these in.
Yeah, it's just blocking it in, getting your foundation in.
Yeah. I actually have another stage that shows the drawing first. Can I switch to that one?
Yeah, let's go switch over to that.
So I have it pretty much drawn in how I want it. So now I'm going to go ahead and block in. And so I've got the ultramarine blue, a little bit of red violet, white, touch of yellow just to negate that a little, calm that down a little.
So tell me about these paints you're using. What brand are these?
These are Richichi oils, and I use a limited palette. And I use 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues. It's a prismatic palette, so that way I can create any color in the rainbow very easily. And I don't use black, because black just to me is a very dead color. If I want to get any kind of gray, then I'm just going to use complementary colors. And I teach an entire color theory course. I used to be a makeup artist, and therefore I learned a lot about color when I was doing that. I used to teach people how to know whether to use warm and cool colors, and that came in really handy when I transitioned to being a fine art painter.
And what's the name of this piece you're doing right now?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I have it listed here as Orange Light Sarasota.
Yes, so this is the study for Orange Light Sarasota, but I might have named it a different name, but.
And you have another piece that I really love, a painting called Red, Orange, Yellow.
Yes, yes. And because I live on the bay, I get to see the amazing effects that the sun does on the bay itself and the sky and the orange. And it just looks like it's unbelievable, but it's there. So I'm going to make this one a little bit more red-violet as well.
Okay. And how do you do that? What do you mix to make that?
First of all, it needs to go a little lighter.
Okay.
And it needs to go a little warmer.
Okay.
I'm getting a little pink here, but it's a little bit too much pink. So,
to our beginning artists, what does it mean by warmer and colder?
that's a good question. Warmer means that it heads toward yellow, red, and orange, and cooler means that it is blue, green, and violet.
I see.
But any color can be warmer or cooler. So we could have this red is a cooler red because it's heading toward the blue a little, the violet, and yet we could have another red that is warmer because it heads toward yellow a little bit. All right, so I am blocking in and going back to the background. So everything that I do is, I like it to have deep space. And so when I used to be a portrait artist, it was always about looking in the eyes and going deep into the soul and really capturing who they were. And then that translated when I started doing landscapes so that I could capture. I always look for something that brings us way back. So we have a foreground, we have a middle ground, and then we have a background. And now we also have the light.
And what is it that brings the things to the background, things to the middle ground, things to the foreground? Well, how do you achieve that?
First of all, the strongest contrast is in the foreground. So any place where we have the darkest darks, which I guess I've already lost that, any place where we have the darkest darks, we're going to come forward, light and dark. Then as we go back, we're going to get that a little bit less contrast. And as we go back, it might even be no contrast and much, much lighter. So the darks get lighter, the lights get a little bit darker so that they meld in the back.
And that's when we talk about values, right? So
exactly.
Dark value in the front, medium value in the middle, light values in the back, and that causes that, right?
Exactly, yes. And also color. So the color changes as it goes back into the distance. So when you have colors that are vibrant, you want them more in the foreground. When you have colors that get softer, they go in the background. However, there's always exceptions to every rule. And when you're working with like the sunset is going to be pretty bright, and those sunset colors are bright. So there's a real challenge of keeping those far away and not coming so forward. So it's really trying to place in what's that brightest bright going to be, and eventually I'm going to place the brightest bright around here. See how that just jumped out forward?
Right, yeah.
And so I'm going to work, normally I either work foreground and go back, or I work background and come forward. You'll notice that I haven't done details on anything. I'm setting everything up, foreground, middle ground, background, getting shapes, getting colors, just so that I know how everything's going to relate to each other. I've left the canvas toned in the areas, and that's going to pretty much stay that exact color. And you'll also notice I've got many brushes starting, because then that way I can grab one to the other. I'm so used to working pastel that this is more like having a pastel stick that's wet. So if I have different brushes, it just makes painting so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. And you have a lot of different courses you teach, and online courses, in-person courses. One I'm looking at here, landscape alchemy. Can you talk about that? Alchemy?
Yes. I taught at a college, and so I taught all types of art. And so what I wanted to do, and I also taught online at the college, so I had that experience. But what I wanted to do in this course was to teach every element and every principle of art in a year-long program to fill in the missing gaps. And we don't know what our missing gap is because we don't know what we don't know. And so this helps me to be able to see what the students are good at and what the students need help with. And I have one part of the program is with coaching and mentoring, and the other part of the program is kind of self-study, and we do a Zoom call once a month, so that no matter what level you're at, what your desires are, your goals, you can receive help and really transform your artwork and make it spectacular.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job of spectacular right now. So do we want to switch over to the next phase?
I do, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm looking at my little photo study now, because now I'm going to go details. I did not look at the photo before because then I would go details too fast. So I just looked at my color studies. And I'm seeing some of the pinks more in the sky from my photo. I'm going to add a little more orange in them though. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So that is going to be my brightest spot, and I'm going to add a little bit of color onto the buildings because that sun is going to wash away the buildings a little bit, warm them up. Even though everywhere else they look cool, where the sun is behind them, they're going to look warm.
Uh-huh. It's really coming together though. And so where do you think you are in this painting percentage-wise? Are we 75%? Are we 95%? Where are we?
I'd say probably, it depends. If I want to keep it just a plein air feeling, it could be almost done. But I would like to go ahead and add a little bit more detail, clean it up a little bit more so that it's more readable, and so and a little more interesting. Now I'm starting to get happy.
Okay. All right. I understand.
Before, it's just like, okay, is this going to work? I know it's going to work because I have my studies that tell me it's going to work.
That's right. And experience.
And experience. And I never thought in a million years I'd be a writer, but watching my husband work has helped my paintings and helped me to feel comfortable writing, because I see how many renditions it goes through for him to have a final book.
All right, so do we want to give him a plug right now?
Sure. His name's Mark Weston, and before I met him, he had a book on Japan, the finest leaders in Japan, and the other one is The Speed of Light, how back, and I don't remember the year, he was a Jeopardy champion, so he has all this wonderful knowledge.
Who was a Jeopardy champion?
My husband.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So he was there with Alex Trebek?
Yes, he was.
All right, great.
Yep.
That's a great side story.
Yeah. So a lot of times people ask me, which do I like more, pastel or oil? And I have to say both. And I go back and forth a lot because the pastels, so this area I haven't touched right now, it's pretty dry. I worked thin, so I'm just going to pick up a pastel, and if I wanted to make this a mixed media, I could. That one's too dark, and so I should have known that because the way my box is set up, the darks are on the left, the lights are on the right. So all I had to do is pick up a lighter value, and it's perfect. So
you can mix the pastels with the oil?
You actually could after it's dry, and then it has to go under glass, or there's a new product that you can spray it and it won't change the colors. It's a spectrum fixative, I believe.
I've been using that myself.
Cool, yeah, it's a good product. I haven't done a lot with it. That's a little bit too bright, because it's so far in the distance. But I am considering experimenting even more because I just love pastel.
Right.
And so I do workshops in both pastel and oil. So I'm now going to just add some reflected lights in some of the area to get some depth on these. And then I'm going to probably take it back outside and on a day, so I have to get up in the morning early, and I love going sunrise to locations. It's quieter. The colors are way better than when the sun is up. And I love, because I'm a colorist, it's all about the color.
Yeah.
So now we're getting some depth in the foreground. So now I feel like here's where my doodle language comes in, because I'm letting my belly inform, or my heart, like it's this area, inform my arm what it wants to say, and my head is going, I have no idea what you're doing.
I know what you mean, and you can't teach this.
You can't teach this. Well, actually, I have come up with the Richichi method, which can start to teach it.
Let go?
It's not thinking, and I give specific exercises to help people stop thinking. So people who are very logical have a harder time with this.
Oh, I know.
I remember Garen said to me once, he goes, what is all that? And I'm like, energy. It's the energy talking through me. I don't know what it's saying, but it is saying something. Because when I would do that on paintings and be free and not force it, I found that people were really gravitating toward it. It's when it's forced that it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's like when you were a child and you just picked up a crayon and you started and you feel like, oh, it needs a mark here, and you just intuitively do it. That's what we're trying to do here.
So we ready to put some bling on there, and we can give you a few minutes to do that?
Okay.
What is a great day today watching you go through all the phases of this painting, and it's just amazing how you did this.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. It was such a pleasure, and I hope the viewers got a lot from it.
Oh, I hope so too. I'm sure they will. So, and I understand you have a lot of people you'd like to thank for making this happen for you.
Yes, Jack Richardson Art Company, and they are responsible for the 80-piece soft pastel Richichi signature set, color and energy, beautiful 80 pieces. Again, they're all prismatic colors from the lights, mediums to darks. So really happy with this set. And also the brushes, the Gray Matters brushes, and their Gray Matters palette, and their oil set that I use from Jack Richardson as well. So thank you, Jack Richardson. And thank you, Ampersand Art. And I love these panels, the gesso board, and I use the pastel board to create the study. And then I used the gesso board to create the oil version. And then we framed it in also the floater frame by Ampersand Art.
Okay. So if folks want to find this stuff online, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to ampersandart.com and find a local retailer, or they can go to my website, lindarichichi.com, or RicciCiArt.com, and find out where I get them from. So.
All right, so that's easy enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and also don't forget, if you want to see more episodes and Linda's episode, you can go to www.colorinyourlife.com.au to see them all. All right, so one thing I just want to remind everyone in the audience, remember to always put some color in your life.